This is the Reflex Racing RX28 Standard Gen 1 that I use for the Super Stock Class over the weekend. The PN Regionals, West Coast PN Regionals. I'm running the Reflex Racing wheels with PN mediums in the front, 10 KS 1038, and Marca 10s in the back. They're both glued, also glued sidewalls. I didn't really do much on the car. This is pretty much the same setup I use for my local track, and also the same setup I use at the RC Street Shop in Southern California when I went a couple weeks ago. The front springs, I'm running the gold springs. Caster is 2. It is toe out a little bit. I'm running the pink soft springs and the black springs on the side. For grease, I used the blue Kyosho. I believe that's 30,000. Kyosho grease in the front, the top shock, the side damper. For the ball diff, I'm using the old school Reflex Racing, like old school, probably 15 years old, Reflex Racing ball diff, including the plates. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's the Reflex Racing, except the shaft. It's not Reflex anymore because the Reflex came with carbon fiber shaft. I still have those. However, it was actually flexing because the motor was too, yes, so much. Today's motor has so much torque that it would flex the shaft, the carbon fiber shaft. It would shift it backwards. I used to run them in my PN70 class before, and it was perfectly fine. But now with the brushless and lipo, it's just so much torque that it would flex the shaft. So on this, I have the Kyosho titanium shaft. And for the ball diffs, the diff balls, I'm running half of the ceramics. I believe the black ceramics, PN. I think 6 pieces. I think it's 6 pieces or 5, one of those. Yeah, I think it's 6 pieces. Yeah, that's what I have. Running the Reflex Racing servo. And for the speed control, for the qualifiers, I ran it with, I ran it in blinky mode, but for the mains, I did bump up the turbo timing. I think that is called turbo timing, to 10 degrees or 10%. Anyways, to number 10. I don't know if it's 10 degrees. I think it's 10 degrees. Roger, Serafin, and Leano helped me with that, just to up the speed a little bit, because the car was only doing 9. This car was only doing 9.5s in the practice and qualifiers, and I wanted to see if I can get into like 9.4s. I was able to do that by adjusting the timing, so it wasn't blinky mode anymore when I run it in the mains. However, the car's not set up for that kind of speed, so it starts to traction roll. I race mods, so I just have to compensate with what I have on this car, it being faster than it was. I had to adjust the throttle on the way I would drive it. But yeah, the 10 degree that was adjusted in the speed control made a pretty big difference in the speed. But like I said, the car wasn't set up for that speed. It was traction rolling. It would lift on the side. I would constantly try to catch it. It was kind of crazy. If I, put more time on the car, I'd probably lower it more and run a stiffer tires in the front. At least that's what I would do. As far as the ride height, this car had 1.9 millimeters in the front and 1.6 in the back. That's before the race. And I just checked it now. The front is 1.7 and the rear is 1.4. Actually, that wasn't before the race. That was actually, that's the measurement during the qualifiers. And I didn't check this car. I didn't check this car at all. I just ran it. I did change from Marka 5 to Marka 10s. That's the only thing I did to this car. I switched from Marka 5s to Marka 10s, and that's it. I put most of my time working on my mod car. But I didn't really spend that much time working on it. Honestly, I didn't. Both cars were working good. But yeah, so yeah, that's the car. I also use Kyosho wheel nuts. I only use Kyosho. But on this side, I flipped the wheel nut, even though it's new. I just don't want to risk it coming off. Also, when I put this in, I make sure it's not too tight. I check the wheel, make sure there's a little bit of movement, and then I tighten it a little bit more to where there's no movement, and that's it. I don't crank on that wheel nut. And then I adjust the tension, the pressure on the div. Because if you tighten it too much, it puts pressure on the ball div. I don't know why that is. I didn't have that. That wasn't a thing before, like 15 years ago. Maybe it was, I just never paid attention to it. But now I guess the car is a little more sensitive than before. I don't know. But I just make sure I don't crank on that. And of course, the seal motor, PN, no sensor wire, and the spec spur and the spec pinion. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I have. Car was good. It could be better for sure, but it was good. It was good. I couldn't push it as hard as I can my mod. This one car is so slow, but I was still holding back because it would lift, man. And I know where it would lift, 3 corners, so I had to baby those corners. But the mod, there's no lifting with the mod. It was pretty dialed. This one is good.